Hello again, Canes fans. One day we're all going to sit back and marvel about what Cam Ward has brought to the Miami Hurricanes football program this year that transcends even a 7-0 start and the top 5 ranking that Miami has right now in the coaches poll. But at this moment, I think we have to simply enjoy the moments that we are getting, which are different and coming in rapid fire each and every week. Saturday at Louisville provided a new adventure where the eraser, I'll call him, had to overcome a horrific special teams day and a very average performance by the defense. As usual, Ward had the answer for everything. He threw for 319 yards and 4 touchdowns while also running for another 50 yards while he was at it. This guy just has a knack for knowing what is the right thing to do at any given moment. So Miami walked out of perhaps its toughest remaining spot, still undefeated, with a sky's the limit outlook on the remainder of the season. And now here comes Florida State to town. The Noles have kind of switched spots with the Hurricanes. Miami's sitting here undefeated and winning games week after week. Florida State losing at a higher regularity than even Miami ever has in recent years. It's Miami that has no losses, sitting on the top of college football, while FSU, unbeaten a year ago at 12-0, is floundering at 1-6. We're going to talk about all of that and more tonight as we embark on a new edition of CaneSport Live. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com. Once again, welcoming you guys to the People Show, CaneSport Live. Presented once again this evening by Caneswear, your ultimate authority for all your Miami Hurricanes merchandise. If you want to wear the orange, green, and white, you got to go to Caneswear and load up on your Cam Ward jersey, your hats, your helmets, T-shirts, anything you could possibly want, whether it's for yourself, your significant other, your kids, even your pet. Caneswear will hook you up. Check them out, and we'll talk more about Caneswear later in the show, but their store is located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. You also can go shop them while you listen to the show or any other time at caneswear.com. Once again, this is your show, and it'll be driven by your participation. So if you want to come on the show, I'm going to throw the banner up on the screen that it gives you the website where you can email us. You email us, we'll send you the link to the studio. We'll bring you on the show in the order that you appear in the studio. Matt Shodell will once again be joining me tonight to the delight of his growing fan club out there in the, I guess we'll call it the cyber universe. And then later in the show, we'll also be joined by the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, who will be entering the asylum with me in the second part of tonight's show. So let's get this party started by bringing in the man himself, Mr. Shodell, the Stone Crab King. And Matt, a big weekend for the Canes. Came out of Louisville unscathed. Cam Ward once again carrying the show. I think everyone seems very rattled by the play of the defense, and I'm sure that's going to be a big topic tonight. But before we get out to our guests, why don't you give us your general synopsis of what you feel you saw this weekend?
Well, you got to remember a couple of things. People forget about yesterday, last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. If this was preseason and somebody told you Miami would be 7-0, but the defense was struggling, everyone would be, we'll take it. This is great, But because we're in the moment right now, and because it's not the 2001 team, people are annoyed that the defense isn't living up to what the offense is doing, because they know that if the defense was even a 50th percentile good, that Miami could win a very unlikely national title, right? I mean, this is not a national championship caliber roster by any stretch of the imagination. In my opinion, I know some Miami fans might disagree. They have half of a championship roster, okay? And that half is on offense. The defense is not even middle of the pack, maybe middle of the pack ACC, just because the ACC defenses are really bad this year, which is unfortunate. But with that said, like, enjoy it. I think Miami's already passed the 2 toughest tests it's going to have all year, which is a blessing and a curse, because I think Louisville and Virginia Tech at the end of the year will prove to be Miami's 2 biggest challenges. But the curse side of it is, if Miami doesn't wind up winning the ACC and getting that ACC title game and getting that bye, there's a decent chance, with 1 loss, which they would have to not do that, there's a decent chance that the national media are going to punish them, where maybe they'll have an away first playoff round game, or hypothetically have done to them what FSU had done to them last year, where Miami hasn't played a top 25 team. Should a 2-loss team be ahead of a 1-loss Miami team if that 2-loss team played, let's say, 2 top 25 teams and beat them both, during the season? I don't know where that goes. Is it concerning a little bit? Yeah. So Miami has to run the table, and they should. They should run the table, get to the ACC title game. I don't see any way in which, if they're 12-0 and then losing the ACC title game, I don't see how they're not the second ACC team in, and how they would take in, let's say, an SMU with 1 loss doesn't make the ACC title game for some reason or something like that. Like, I don't see how they could pick SMU over Miami, but stranger things have happened, man. And I do not see them taking 3 ACC teams, with the perception out there the ACC is a pretty weak conference this year.
Well, mad, I think, is an understatement. Based on what we've seen on our message boards, the YouTube comments on our Good Morning CaneSport show, and elsewhere, I think mad is an understatement for the way the fan base feels about the defense. And I'm kind of shocked by that, because, like you said, we knew coming into the season that the defense was probably the weak spot of the team, particularly the pass defense and the defensive backfield. And a lot of people are going after Coach Guidry, and I want to talk a little bit tonight, and I'm curious to hear different viewpoints on this, whether that's fair or unfair. I've been a little bit surprised how bad it's been the last couple of weeks. When we watched practices before the season and got to see some of the live action, I mean, I'm telling you, we have the best offense in the country right now, and our defense handled them a lot in training camp. It was not one-sided all the time out there. The defense had some very good days, and you were like, wow, how is that happening with Cam Ward and this offense and all the weapons? How's the defense doing so well? Now, of course, they know the plays because they see them practice and defend them every day. And there are some inherent advantages that the defense has on the practice field. But, the point I'm making is it wasn't anywhere near as ridiculous as what we're seeing with the mental bus against Cal. And then I felt the physical beatings that they were taking against a really good, skilled Louisville offense. So we've seen different problems, same result, back-to-back weeks. And I'm sure that'll be a big topic of tonight's show. Also, real quick, we talked about Cam Ward, and this guy is making such an impact, not just on the field, but also off the field as a leader. And everybody knows he's making this massive amount of money in NIL. Some people say 1.5 million. Some people say 2 million. It's somewhere in there. So he can afford this. But I just wanted to show you guys real quick what he did for his teammates this week.
Boys, everything we've been doing this season. Y'all get back in the locker room. I got a little upgrade from y'all.
Let me show y'all the details. So we got the hurricane on the top. Okay. But then if you flip it, we got the bird on the side. See what I want?
Look at the details.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's canceling?
Oh, yeah, we ready.
We've got the bird on the side. They should rename the ibis the bird. I sort of like that better,
But how cool is that? That he bought the entire team new.
He didn't buy the entire team that. Bose made a promotion.
Donated it, I know. Or they gave him. Certainly
it's still great. I mean, it's still great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's awesome. That's the Cam Ward effect right there.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. All right, so in honor of that, of the new bird headsets that the entire Miami team is wearing tonight, I'm going to go out on the wild side here. We got a new guest tonight. He hasn't never been on the show before. He's calling himself the Bird. Looks like he's all decked out in a hoodie and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know what we're going to get here, but we're going to take a shot with this one first and welcome the Bird, formerly known as Sebastian, as our first guest on tonight's show. What's up, Bird?
What's going on, Gary?
How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I don't know. Your connection's not great, so your voice and picture aren't really synced up. But go ahead and talk. We can hear you fine.
So listen, I'm going to give you your 5 seconds of congratulations for the sticking with Martinez, sticking with Sam Brown. Here's your 5 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Here's the real issue, though. People are mad because Cam Ward is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. We've been waiting 20 years to have this quarterback. 20 years to have this quarterback. And for the defense to be as horrible as it has been, it's been horrible. That's what's making everybody mad. And then Guidry has the audacity to just deny it in front of everybody's face during his press conference. Just denies it. And you've always said same plus same equals same. Guidry's doing the exact same plus same every single time he's putting those same guys out there. Number 19 should not be playing again unless we get into like horrible injury situations. 19 and 2 really should not be playing any longer. And if you need to figure out why the fans are so mad right now, it's because we don't want this to be wasted. We don't want Cam Ward in this moment to be wasted by losing to Syracuse by 3 points because our defense couldn't stop them. Like, that would be the biggest travesty.
All right, well, as we embark on this discussion, since you got such cool glasses on, I'm going to put my glasses on too. So here's my question. I don't know what everybody expected. I mean, when you look at the personnel on this team this year, particularly at the defensive back position, and I better take these off. They're screwing up my picture. But particularly at defensive back position, I mean, we knew that there were going to be issues during the course of the season. It's not a surprise. But I think that what we're finding out is it's going to depend on the personnel they're playing. I mean, if
they're not playing Patterson, Patterson's been far better.
Well, he's going to get more reps. He's progressively learning and getting better, and they've already said he's going to get more reps. But the bigger thing, what we're seeing is that if they play a team with speed like they did Saturday, that's going to give them problems. They aren't a fast secondary.
They also aren't tackling well. They're not attacking the ball, and they're not hitting good angles.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that was largely due to the speed. I mean, those running backs had really good footwork, very quick feet, and it gave them problems. There's no doubt about it. Against Cal, it was a different set of problems that, I consider more inexcusable, which is they were mental busts. They were busting on their coverages and giving up those 50-yard plus plays. Saturday, it was more a physical beating. So I think what we're seeing, Matt, you could chime in on this, but I think what we're seeing is that this is going to be a week-to-week issue based on matchups. I mean, they didn't have these problems against the Gators. They didn't have these problems against South Florida.
Well, Brown was playing. I don't remember how many snaps Brown had against the Gators, but Brown was playing.
Brett, who are you talking about?
Damari Brown.
Oh, Damari, yeah, he was there early. Yeah, yep. But
and I just
think this is going to be a matchup issue week to week. Matt, what do you think?
I mean, listen, I don't want to get on the wrong side of a guy who looks like he's an assassin in a safe house. So, like, I'm not going to disagree with anything that the assassin bird, formerly known as whatever, is saying. The only thing I will disagree with, and hopefully he won't come hunt me down, is 2-19, who people refer to as Darryl Porter and De'Ani Hill, have not been playing particularly well. But there's nobody else, man. Like,
there's nobody else
who places them. That's the problem. That's the coach's fault, right? It's not the player's fault. The coaches always preach competition makes everyone better. They never had competition because there's nobody there. Like Jadaeus Richard isn't playing well either. The only guy playing well in the entire secondary right now is a true freshman, OJ Frederic. So it's
how much zone did they play?
Playing well, but there's nobody to put in. And they will play Zaquan Patterson more over, I think, Jaden Harris, which is good because Jaden Harris has not been good. And I always say a guy going 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction, I'll take that over a guy going 50 miles an hour in the right direction. But it's just a thin depth chart, a young depth chart at cornerback, and the coaches didn't get the guys they needed to in the portal. They whiffed on Hill. Mish Powell hasn't been playing up to the level he should be the last 2 or 3 games. And like I told Gary during the bye when he said that secondary would get better, I said they are what they are, man. Like they don't have the players. It's just not. It's not going to get better, and it won't.
On true freshmen to bail you out now. You're talking about Saquon Patterson, which is great, and yeah, we all see the potential he has. But he had I think 20 reps the other day. I mean, so maybe they'll increase it to 30, but he's not ready for a full load. I mean, we're sitting here, wanting true freshmen to bail out the day, and that tells you how bad it is, really.
Yeah, they're not switching to zone. They're not playing too much zone. And I guess whenever they do play zone, they screw up the coverage.
Yeah,
probably
afraid they have actually been playing zone. It's just not working. It's nothing. It's not working. They can't. They don't know what they're doing.
They're better off playing man and pressuring.
He usually plays man, but they have done some zone, and that hasn't worked either. I mean, they're just a mess.
Yeah, you're talking about Guidry laughing, and he was laughing. I don't think he was laughing in a obnoxious way, like some people took it. I think it's almost like you can't cry, so you got to laugh, kind of laugh. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he meant it like, oh geez, I'm so happy. I think this is funny. I'm pretty sure he doesn't think any of it's funny.
Do you think he gets it? Do you think that he understands that he's possibly the one thing that is going to hold this team back from getting a national championship? If he doesn't fix it.
Is it him or is it the personnel? I mean, he's not blitzing as much as he usually would. And the reason he's probably not is I'm guessing that he doesn't feel like they'll hold up if he does. I mean, he loves the blitz. He loves to get after the quarterback. And, we're just not seeing it quite as much this year as we would have in the past, and certainly not the same variety of blitzes. It looks to me like he's trying to coach to his personnel, and they understand that there's going to be times they get beat.
Well, keep our fingers crossed, man. But if you want to know why people are mad, they don't want to see this opportunity go to waste.
I get it. It's an opportunity for sure. This guy is a generational player. He erases everything. This would probably be an 8-win team without him, I'm guessing. And now it's got a chance to be a 12-win team, and he's that good. And whether it's 1.5 or 2 million, whatever they're paying him NIL, he's worth every single penny of it.
All right, man. Be good.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for coming on the show. Come back again. Like your outfit. It scares Matt. Anything that scares Matt makes me happy. Have a great night.
Listen, he's hiding his background. He's wearing sunglasses. I'm pretty sure that was Drew Rosenhaus. I'm pretty sure. I can't be certain.
Yeah, but Bird, I also got to boot you from the studio because we're maxed out and other people are trying to come in. So you can watch the show on the website. Sorry about that. But anyway, look, I mean, he makes some good points, Matt. I mean, you don't want to waste a talent like Cam Ward. I mean, that would be devastating to waste it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and predict they're going to go 16-0, but you have an opportunity to win any game against anybody with this offense right now. And the challenge now for the rest of the season is to get the defense to a point, where they aren't quite as big a liability. All right. He's marching back and forth. He's in his Costco outfit. He's clapping his hands. He's ready to go. He looks fired up. It's time for Kane on CaneSport.
What about? Hey, Gary, Matt, let me tell you something. I'm Kane, and I'm tired of all these lame ass fans. They complain. They've been crying for 20 years plus. Oh, we ain't winning. Oh, we need this. Oh, we need that. We 7-0. Yeah, the defense. We know what the problem is. Damn it, don't you think they know? Gentry laughed. I didn't make none of it. He laughed. Man, the man know like Matt and you say, what we got. This is all we got. So deal with what we got. I mean, remember last year, let's fire Dawson. Now, this is no knock on your boy, Gary, but Dawson couldn't do nothing with TDD because he didn't have that athleticism. He didn't have that vision. He didn't have what Cam had. Now, you don't even hear that. But now all of a sudden, let's fire Gentry. He can't do this. Come on, man. Stop crying, fans. You cry too damn much. Be happy. Enjoy the moment. As the people say right here, damn it. Stop the bitches. Stop the crying. We are 7-0. Should be 12-0. No, we don't want to waste no damn opportunity. I would love a championship. You ain't seen one since 2001. None of us seen it. But stop crying. They doing the best they can. Kids running opposite way. The young boys gonna get more reps. Maybe that will help out the other guys. You know, just like when Martinez didn't start. Okay, that motherfucker ran like a bull. Then Allen ran. We got running backs. We got receivers. We got everything on offense. Who can stop us? Who's gonna stop that offense? But then again, oh, we're gonna cry about the defense. Fire Gentry. Last year, fire Dawson. The year before that, fire Mario. How about we fire these sorry ass fans we got? Man up. Be happy. Enjoy. I will be there next weekend, this weekend, and Wake Forest. I love the youth. That's why I spend my money. So ain't too much more to say. I didn't want y'all to say anything. Just take it from there, because ain't nothing to talk about bad. We know what the problem is, damn it. Don't worry about it. Just keep riding the tide. What did I tell y'all? The sun will rise on the 305, and look where we at. Ooh, baby, you gotta love it if you're a Cane fan. I'll get off. Go talk to them crazy ass complaining people, because I ain't one of them. Peace.
All right, Kane. Thanks for being on the show as always.
Pretty good, man.
He is, man. He's the best. I wonder if his boss, he's in the office there. I wonder if his boss is watching him on one of those cameras. Yelling at the screen. Oh, that's pretty funny. All right, if you want to come on the show, email us CaneSport@yahoo.com. We'll get you on, send you the link to the studio. Let's see. Let's go to Everything 305. See what he has to say this week. Everything. Welcome back to CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary and Matt, how we doing tonight?
What's going on, Everything? Are you one of those mad ass fans?
No, I'm not mad at all. I mean, I know it's there. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken, you know what, but you find a way. And I last week I was pointing out how Matt was maybe overreacting a little bit and not having enough faith in the coaching staff. And, lo and behold, we tried to do some more zone concepts, and the chemistry and the IQ and the recognition, those factors aren't present amongst those players.
No.
So it really doesn't matter what you do. You're going to have to just go ahead and hope that front seven can find ways to create pressure opportunities on their own. You can go ahead and play a lot of games and get caught for big runs when you're running those games. But I think what you're going to have to look at is the impact week to week that Ruben Bain's going to have. I mean, he makes those other guys better because they have to focus on him. So those other guys get more one-on-one opportunities. And I think he's going to improve the efficiency of the front seven. And hopefully that's going to impact. But we talked about Zaquan Patterson having to get in there. I'm just disappointed that guys that have been here for 2 years still don't have the right angles, still don't read correctly, still don't anticipate well. And again, it comes down to your physical skill set and how it works in conjunction with your mental recognition. And it's just some guys just don't have it. And I think that's what we're seeing more and more of some of those guys that been here for 2 years. They try out hard and they work hard. And then some of the guys that you got in the portal a year ago or 2 years ago just haven't materialized into the players you need. I know there was a change in leadership. We have a new DB coach, but that's not the reason why we're not functioning well back there. No. It just comes down to ability. And I don't think Coach Guidry's a problem. Hell, he was in the running for the LSU job and had a good interview this past year. So we know he's of quality, but the issue is we just have to go ahead and find other ways to win. And one of those ways, guys, is to make sure your special teams are functioning at a high level. And it was poor last Saturday. It was disappointing, and it comes down to teaching. So I know there's about 40 coaches, 40 teachers in that room, at the Heck Center. There's 40 teachers, and there's a lot of guys that know a lot of football. There's a lot of quality individuals that are in that room, And for some reason, the aptitude our guys have, it's not working. So we've got to get better in specials big time. And I think that's the biggest area you can grow. Offensively, Cam Ward's worth every penny and then some. And as long as this offensive line continues to protect him and he continues to lower his high-risk opportunities a little bit, I think we'll be just fine the rest of the way. But make no mistake about it, Florida State, this is their Super Bowl. This is their everything. They're going to be ready to go. Those guys know how to coach up there. Got some good teachers up there. And they're having some similar issues across the board that we're having in the secondary. They're having it across the board in other areas. But they'll be ready to go. And it's going to be a good game. If you're thinking it's going to be a blowout and we're just going to pound the crap out of them and get revenge from a year ago, from 2 years ago, you're sadly mistaken. That's not going to happen. It's going to be an intense game and a game going into the fourth quarter. That's anybody's game to take.
Their receivers have been terrible this year. Okay, every time I've turned them on, I've been amazed at how soft they are, how lazy they look. I mean, if there's a game that the secondary is going to get back on track, I think this is the one. I don't think their quarterback's great. So I'm looking for this to be an improved Miami defensive performance this weekend. And I could end up being wrong on this. I'm expecting a big Miami victory this week. I really am. I just have been. I know this Florida State team looks to me like they have a big culture problem. If Miami gets out ahead of them and starts beating them, and I'll tell you, I don't know if all you guys out there had a chance to look at Matt's running game analysis today and take a look at some of those clips in the story that was on our website. I mean, this offensive line was mauling Louisville. Okay, they are getting their crap together. Okay, up front, and if they come playing like that this Saturday, combined with the passing game, I think Florida State's going to get blown right out of Hard Rock. Now, I could be wrong. I'm usually the guy looking for, expecting the tight game. I thought the Louisville game would be exactly what it was. I thought the Cal game was going to be what it was. If Miami shows up and plays the way I think they're going to show up and play, I think they're going to beat the crap out of Florida State. They owe them one from 2 years ago when the last time the Noles came to Hard Rock. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything he said except the Florida State stuff, because I talked to Florida State insider actually earlier today, and he said their offensive line's a disaster. They have problems all over the place. The only place where they're actually decent right now to good is the defensive line. Secondary is not good. He said their linebackers are atrocious, as bad as you can remember the seeing there. So yeah, I know it sounds like you know Miami pretty well. You know what you're talking about, but I don't know if you studied FSU film. I haven't studied that much FSU film. Okay. But the person I talked to knows FSU intimately. And that's his perception is they have zero chance they're going to get blown out. And this is a guy who knows FSU very well, doesn't know Miami as well. But when he's saying they're as bad as he's seen there, and I know how good Miami is on offense and how the matchups are, like when I tell people the games that I have an issue with Miami winning, those teams are the ones that have a good passing quarterback, a pinpoint passer quarterback, and a decent offensive system on that side of the ball. And on the other side of the ball, they have to be able to get after Cam Ward. Like, those are the teams that will cause Miami problems. And there really aren't any of them on Miami's schedule per se. I think Georgia Tech probably full picture might be the toughest because Syracuse's defense is pretty bad. Wake Forest's defense is atrocious, but those three teams have good offenses. But Virginia Tech and Louisville were the two that sort of fit the bill where, hey, they have some guys up front that can get after Cam Ward. And then on the flip side, obviously, they have those opportunities also in the passing game, right, which they did take advantage of. But they couldn't outscore Cam Ward and Miami's offense, And now you have an FSU team that's a terrible matchup because, yeah, maybe they can get after Cam Ward a little bit, but those linebackers are awful, the secondary is awful, and they can't score. Like, the biggest weakness Miami has is a good passing team, and this is a horrible passing team. This is a team that's averaging, I think their top running back's averaging 2.3 or 2.5 yards a carry, their top running back, coming into the game. And they can't run, they can't pass. So it's bad against bad. and bad against bad equals good. I was on an FSU pod. I was on an FSU podcast talking about it today also. So it's good. Miami's defense is going to look good in this game, and people are going to be like, "It's fixed." Lance Guidry fixed the problem.
All matchups.
When in reality, it's just FSU's just awful. So I hope fans don't get fooled, and I hope players don't get fooled into thinking everything's been fixed magically against FSU in the secondary and the linebacker issues, because Miami's defense is going to look good in this game. Okay, in my opinion. And then I think they're going to look bad again when they play Syracuse, Wake Forest, and Georgia Tech, possibly Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech's more of a run pass, maybe more primarily run than pinpoint passing, but they're a decent offense too.
Well, Matt, I hope you're absolutely correct, and that all comes to fruition on Saturday. But again, I just there's something about this game, man. There's just always something about this game, and there's just something about our kids when it comes to these moments, and hopefully they will they'll go ahead and take advantage of the opportunity. But it hasn't always been the case with us, so I definitely hope you're right.
All right, everything. You got anything else for us tonight?
Wanted to ask you a question with regards to recruiting. Where are we right now in terms of potential kids coming in this weekend, and maybe
how much time you got?
I got a lot of time.
The list is enormous.
Yeah, it's on the site actually. Didn't Stephen Wagner did a big story on all the top recruits coming, right?
He did. Just wondering which guys do you think that definitely might be interested in looking at possibly making a commitment in the next couple of weeks, next couple of days.
Clinton Portis's kid.
Yeah, he's going to announce pretty soon, I think.
Okay.
Yep. We're on commitment watch for Clinton Portis's kid.
Love hearing that. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, everything.
Be well. Go Canes.
Have a good night. So, Gigi Kane says that Mario should bring back Ed Reed, the coach of secondary. Matt, Ed Reed was a lot of things, Gigi, but a coach was not one of them. Okay,
that's like having Michael Irvin coach the receivers. I mean, it would just be all yelling and rah-rah and it'd be this craziness. I mean, I love Ed Reed. I love Michael Irvin to death, but they're better off on the sidelines pumping our guys up than being calm, cool, and collected and just checking guys down and telling guys what to do during the games.
Christopher Wright, big Ruben Bain fan, had 10 pressures and a sack. He was getting some pressure, but Ruben's just getting going, man. He was pretty average the first week back, as you would expect them to be. He hadn't been in a game in a while and it was rusty and whatever. I thought he took another step forward last week. I don't think he's close to being the Ruben Bain we saw dominating last year just yet. But it should come here in the next week or two, I think, Matt. We know Ruben's a good player, but it's not so easy to just walk out on the field without, having a full, having played since the Florida game, and he only was out there for a play. This was really this last 2 weeks, it was his first time playing this year, and it's taking him a little bit of time getting going, but I'm expecting to start seeing the real Ruben Bain here pretty soon.
Well, there's about a 0% chance that FSU comes out in this game doing anything other than quick passes and running the ball because their offensive line's bad. Miami's defensive front is a massive mismatch. And if you double Ruben, who are you? Tyler Barron set free, Simeon Barrow, Akeem Messer. Who are you not doubling? I mean, these guys it's a sick starting front line right now. And the only concerning thing was really Akeem Messer's interview today, which was sort of disheartening. I don't know. He was depressed and complaining to the media about how hard it is to play tackle because he was sort of promised when he came from West Virginia a couple of years ago that he was going to play end here. That's why he left West Virginia. He didn't want to play tackle. And now he's back at tackle, and he just didn't seem real happy about it talking on the media, which, I don't really understand the attitude of that, considering, this team's 7-0.
He's not built to be a D tackle.
I understand that, but, don't talk to the media about it. It is what it is at this point. He's not moving to end. Just suck it up, do your best, and, stop complaining, basically. He's he was telling us how it's so hard, and, he's not really playing the way he wants to. And, the transition to tackle is really difficult. It's so different that he's always played end before, I mean, it wasn't a great look. It wasn't a great look if you guys have seen that interview, but.
Well, to me, the bigger issue is Tyler Barron. I mean, they're making Mesidor play tackle so that Tyler Barron can play on the outside, and he's disappeared since the FAMU game. Okay,
He hasn't disappeared, but he hasn't been as dominant.
I hope he's watching. I really do.
Oh my
because
Lord.
he has the ability to be so much better than what he's playing right now. And like he hasn't done a damn thing since FAMU. And that's not fair because you got Mesidor who's sacrificing playing tackle so Tyler Barron can be on the field playing defensive end, and he's not holding up his end of the bargain.
That is totally not true. They have no one else to play tackle, Gary. If CJ Clark lived up to expectations, Akeem Mesidor would be playing end and tackle. But
CJ
they don't
Clark
have
and
any other
Marley Cook
tackles who are
are
any good right now.
I mean, they got CJ Clark, they got Marley Cook, they got
CJ Clark and Marley Cook are not playing well, unfortunately.
I understand, but Mesidor is not playing so great either at tackle. He's doing okay, but he's not Mesidor. I mean, Mesidor is a dominant football player, and he's not dominating anything right now. And the sacrifice was to accommodate Tyler Barron, who is supposed to be dominating people. Okay?
So are you saying go to a 3-3 stack? That's what you want?
Saying,
you want to go back to a 3-3
I'm
stack?
saying somebody needs to go into that defensive room
maybe
and
there's
jack
something to
these
be
guys
said.
up a little bit.
Maybe there's something to be said for putting Raul Aguirre in the lineup in a 3-3 stack and using Mesidor in a rotation at end with the other guys. I mean, it worked pretty well last year, and this defense is not doing so well right now. So, maybe they should try that again. Who knows?
I'm going to let Lance Guidry figure that out. But I just want to see guys playing hard and playing to their potential. And there's a couple of them that aren't. And to me, at the top of the list right now is Tyler Barron. Man, in fall camp, we saw how dominant this guy can be. We saw it at the game.
He hasn't disappeared. He just hasn't shown up in the box score for sacks. That's what you're misconstruing here.
He's not playing very well at all. He
dominated bad teams.
Soft here, okay? I'm saying he's disappeared. He has.
No,
I'm not looking to be soft, okay? You see
he's,
how upset everybody is.
It's fair to say he dominated really bad offensive lines, but he's still getting pressures against some of these better teams. And guess what? Before Ruben Bain came back, last week, it was Tyler Barron getting the double teams, right? And making other people available to make plays. Now that Bain's back, I agree. This past game was disappointing for Barron, but I think that was the only game I was disappointed in with him. Before that, I thought he was fine before that, considering how teams were scheming him. But he better get back to what he was, especially if they start singling him, because he's too good to not make an impact with Ruben Bain on the other side.
I mean, this is his moment. This is his time. The National Football League is watching him very, very closely. He looks the part. They were saying, oh man, Tyler Barron could be a first-round draft pick before the season started. Just looking at him, he looks like a first-round draft pick. He's not playing like a first-round draft pick. He's playing like a guy that maybe wants to go in the 6th round or something. That's not good enough. He's eating up a lot of NIL budget. He's being counted on enormously. He's got teammates that are sacrificing so that he could be out there and they could put the best line out on the field. I want to see him playing better starting this weekend against Florida State when the Canes should blow these guys out of Hard Rock into oblivion and set Miami up for great recruiting for the next couple of years and everything else. This is a big moment for this program. Want to see everybody rise to the occasion. Man, you answered his question, but CD Wright says, leave you at home.
I agree.
Bring in a Zuby. What the hell is that?
Let me tell you something. Azubi is such a natural reporter. I told him the other day, I'm like, you can't teach how good your instincts are as a reporter. I said, I can't do that now. He should absolutely be on this show. But unfortunately, Azubi's too good to come on stupid shows like this with the fans. He's way up here and I'm way down here. So you're freaking stuck with me, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Wright, you'll get your fix of Azubi tomorrow night.
Yeah, watch the Lamar show. It's a much better show. I'm not on it.
All right, I'm going to switch things up here. We usually get to this guy a little later in the show when he's totally obliterated and hammered on his bottles of wine that he puts on his counter to prepare to weather the storm of CaneSport Live. But I made a mental commitment to myself. I want to get Jake on in the first hour tonight because I want to see what he's like when he's not hammered. So, Jake, welcome back to CaneSport Live.
We're just going more potent today. We're going with a little whiskey to celebrate the Louisville win. So that's we're just stepping it up, getting at it quicker. So 7-0 shouldn't feel like this, man. Oh my God. Cam Ward raised the stakes. That's just all there is to it. This is a generational offense. This is just an unbelievable opportunity to set a new bar. And I got to say, actually, look, I'll take this kind of in stride, but I blame Mario to an extent. The defense should not be this bad. How in South Florida is our secondary dog shit? That's all South Florida produces. Wide receivers, defensive backs.
I had this conversation this week with
How
somebody.
are we dog shit?
I'm going to answer your question, and it's going to piss some people off, and they're going to be mad at me for saying it. But right now, South Florida is not churning out the talent that we're used to thinking about when we say South Florida. Okay, it's not.
Preaching to the choir.
Now, why I don't know. I had somebody say to me yesterday. I won't name him, but he's a prominent person in this town. Said to me, right now, Dade is a fraud.
Yeah.
Okay, there are not many elite players coming out of Dade County. And
that's focused on the 7-on-7.
Well, I don't know what it is. It might, whether it's 7-on-7 or what, but I'm telling you, this was not a wrong thought. I mean, Dade County is not spitting out elite college players like we've grown accustomed to through the years.
Most of them are coming out.
That hurts Miami more than any other team in the country because that's Miami's lifeline there in recruiting.
So I don't know if you can see this. This is my new idea for our sideline prop. It's called the tackling dummy. It's a dunce cap that all these clowns put on. We can bedazzle it, put some gemstones, rhinestones, all that stuff. Every time you miss a tackle and they go 80 yards down the field for a touchdown, you go put it on the sideline and suck your thumb until you come back in the play. I blame Guidry some. He's not championship caliber. Is he the problem? Maybe, probably not. Tackling. We're in year 3. This is where I blame Mario the most. This is supposed to be the physical, tough Mario team. Missed tackles. This is softer than Manny Diaz this last week.
The speed of Louisville gave them problems last weekend.
Listen,
Cal gave them problems. That Jaden Knott, it looked like he was playing pinball with our linebackers in secondary. They were just bouncing right off of him. This should not be an issue this late in the game. What is going on? How is tackling still a problem?
Good, Matt.
Well, first of all, I'd like you to make a dunce cap for Gary to wear on Good Morning CaneSport. That'd be my wish.
That's my design. It's free of charge. So
I could tell you're definitely a design guy.
Big time. Graphic arts all the way.
Yeah, and then to the point, I don't disagree with you that of course it's the coach's fault at the end of the day. That they don't have the secondary they need because everyone saw this coming. This was not a shock, and Gary can blame Dade County all he wants. It's not on Dade County in the modern NIL era, okay? You can get anybody you want if you give them enough money. They didn't want to give enough money for the guys that they wanted in the secondary. They chased some guys in the portal. They let them get away. They wound up taking a Marshall guy and a Washington guy. The cycle earlier took a Vanderbilt guy. And none of them are playing up to par when it comes to playing really good offenses, right? Mish Powell's looks slow. Deani Hill struggled in coverage. Even Darryl Porter came from West Virginia, right? And he's struggling. So, and Jadaeus Richards, the Vanderbilt transfer, he's struggling too. I mean, there's no answers. And that's why when Lance Guidry spoke this week, he's like, I don't know. When asked what's wrong with the defense, I don't know. Because he didn't want to say the players aren't good enough. Because that's the truth. That's the truth.
But you say that.
But at the end of the day, that's his fault, right? That's Mario's fault. That's what they're paid to do.
Here's where it's their fault. They don't tackle to the ground in practice.
Oh yeah, the tackling. Yeah, so the tackling.
That's what.
It's not. It was a big issue in I think the Cal game, right? Missing 9 or 10 tackles a game. That's somewhat the norm, honestly, even though, you never want to miss tackles. But these guys in college now, they're pretty good, right? And I think they missed 9 tackles or 8 tackles last game. Like, it's not the end of the world. You don't want to miss tackles. And yeah, you're right. When they miss tackles, I do blame a lot on the preparation and how they're taught. Because in fall camp, you're right, and I say it all the time on Good Morning CaneSport, they thud and don't tackle to the ground every single practice in the fall. And the reason for it is they don't have depth. And the benefit of it is that they don't get hurt. Because Mario Cristobal came in here and he realized for a decade plus now, Miami's best players were getting hurt in fall camp and were missing games during the season because of fall camp injuries. And if you noticed, ever since Mario's gotten here, there has not been any major fall camp injuries. And that's why, if you're not tackling to the ground, the chances of a badly sprained ankle, of a twisted knee, of a foot getting stuck in the turf as you go into the ground, et cetera, getting landed on, rolled up on, much less, right? So it's a risk benefit. And I'll take the missing 8 or 9 tackles. I don't want to miss 18 or whatever the heck it was against Cal, but I'll take missing 8 or 9 tackles in a game in order for this team to be as healthy as it was to start the season and as it remains, honestly. It's a pretty healthy team right now.
Butch managed to field a roster.
They all did, and they had depth in those days. And players would get hurt, and the next guy was just as good. That's not this year's team. It wasn't last year's team, and it wasn't the year before's team, and it wasn't the last 20 years' teams, Jake.
Then get a tackling dummy, but something. I mean,
they have a tackling dummy. That doesn't help. The tackling dummy.
Yeah, and Matt can ridicule me all he wants, but where's the elite defensive backs from Dade County on this team? Where?
Nowhere.
Where are they?
It doesn't. You act like the only players Miami gets is from Dade County, Gary. What are you talking about?
I mean, where are they?
If they're not here, you get them somewhere else. How are they getting offensive linemen? How are they getting defensive linemen? The same way. The same way to get those guys, you get them in the defensive backfield. Like, what are you talking about?
Where are they? Where are the elite guys?
They went to other schools because Miami missed them.
Yeah, they went elsewhere.
They went to other schools.
They lost Jeremiah Smith. Okay, that was a generational talent. They never should have lost. That was a bad loss, no argument. But where's the elite DB? I mean, Earl Little, he's turned out to be nothing. He's up at FSU now. He had a transfer out of Alabama pretty quickly.
Yeah, but go hit up IMG. Do what you got to do. Desmond Ricks, we were all over him. He went to Georgia. But
the recruiting, you just hit it right on the nose, Jake. The recruiting has to get better, and it's a hidden issue that Mario's going to have to deal with at some point.
It looks like they're dealing with it, but that's
they are to some degree.
Too little, too late. Well, yeah, we got to get a lot.
Right now, they got the eraser playing quarterback. He is erasing everything. Okay,
yeah.
The bad special teams, the bad defense. It doesn't matter. He's erasing it all. Okay,
but he's not going to erase Georgia. The defense has to show up for that.
They got to show up too. And he's not going to erase the 2025 season and the 2026 season. And they got to get better players. In recruiting, there's still too many guys that are, I'll call them misevaluations that are going to end up in the portal. And they have to upgrade the level of their talent evaluation and recruiting. And it starts with the assistant coaches. The guys that aren't carrying their weight in recruiting need to step up. And I know Mario is going to want them to step up. And to me, the key moving forward from this season, which should be a bridge to great things down the road, is acknowledging the problems that do exist and fixing them. Mario's usually been great at that. He does not hide in the closet. You see all the changes he's made since he became head coach here, recycling the coaches that he has and stuff like that. That wasn't part of the plan at all. But he didn't stick his head in the ground.
I will say though, with Guidry, there's scheme and there's strategy. Now the scheme is what it is. I think Guidry, we've seen it too many times where he's just getting pantsed by these other offensive coordinators and head coaches. I'm not saying fire him or whatnot, but if he can be upgraded this offseason, he's not championship caliber. I'm sorry. I just don't think he is of the caliber because that's one of the things Mario's going to have to do. He's going to have to bring the staff. You look at Kirby Smart, you look at Nick Saban, you look at guys winning championships, Jim Harbaugh. Those guys have championship staffs. This isn't the championship staff yet. It's good. It's a good staff. There's some really good parts to it. Guidry's not championship. He gets beat up too much. Too many guys run circles around him.
Is it fair though to judge him to that degree if he doesn't have the talent? If the talent's not there, and I think we can look and say the talent is not there, particularly at defensive back. I mean, the linebackers are okay; they're decent, and the D line is decent. But in the back end, it's just not there. It's hard to judge Guidry. He doesn't have the safeties he can blitz with. He doesn't have the corners that can cover if he blitzes the safeties and linebackers, and his hands are kind of tied a little bit. I don't know that it's fair to judge him to that degree. All right,
guys. Yeah, I got to bounce. Actually, I got some company here.
All right, man.
I figured you were coming to me later, so
no sweat.
I got some friends over here. I got to bounce, but thanks. We'll see you next
All
week.
right, man.
And hopefully, we kick the shit out of FSU. So
you got it, man. Thanks for coming on the show and taking the time. We'll see you next week.
I mean, it was so evident to Miami coaches, even in the spring. They could have brought guys in the second window. Because, like, Mish Powell, right? They knew they didn't have a nickel. So they're like, okay, we'll put Mish Powell be the nickel. And we'll have Markeith at safety with Jaden Harris. And they quickly realized, well, they kept him there all spring, but they realized by the fall that he couldn't play nickel and stay with speedy, fast receivers, which we've seen when he tries to cover guys at safety, right? So they knew they had the problem in the secondary, and they did nothing at that point to address it. So, to his point, it's fair to say that is on the coaches, in my opinion. Whether there's people in Dade they could have recruited or not, like, that's on the coaches. They knew it was a problem. They didn't get guys in the portal to supplement it, other than De'Ani Hill. So at that point.
Jeff Lynn, ELO fan, wants us to evaluate the performances in 1925 and 7. I mean, what's there to evaluate, Matt? They haven't been playing well.
No. They're the bash guys endlessly. I mean, there's nothing to be gained there. No point in bashing them endlessly. All right. While Matt's still on the show, we got to bring his best friend on. I'm looking at his picture. All I'm seeing is a ceiling fan, so I'm hoping that's going to change here real fast. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Greg. Welcome back to CaneSport Live. What thou you say?
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. What's going on, man?
Yesterday morning, I thought I was on the Good Morning CaneSport when you're telling everyone Miami should go 12-0. You didn't believe that. Now you believe it?
Greg, I literally explained it. I said it before the season. I said Miami could win, but you could go back and look, but I said Miami will win between 8 and 12 games. That was the range. So I said, I'm making my prediction 10-2 because it's in between 8 and 12. My predictions aren't static, unlike yours, Greg, unlike Gary's. I have wide-ranging, malleable, Kamala Harris-like thoughts, okay? I changed my mind on a whim, and now I'm going with 12. What do you want from me?
Okay. All right. Let me ask you, Miami.
Take your hand off your picture, your camera. You got your hand up there or something.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Everyone's belly aching about Guidry. Do you know who's number one in the ACC in yardage per game on defense? Do you know what team that would be?
Is this a quiz? Like, are we on a game show?
That would be Miami, Matt. Okay? We're 6th in the ACC in points allowed. Clemson is behind us in points per game.
So you're looking
at everyone's raving about Clemson.
You're looking at just the ACC games, obviously, Greg. You're not including FAMU and Ball State, right? Because those are nonsense games, obviously.
Well, they don't play any nonsense games?
Not to the extent Miami did, no.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Is that Florida win looking a little better lately?
It's not as bad, but they're still a bad team.
Didn't they go down to Tennessee and they should have beat Tennessee?
Yeah.
You forget that? Didn't they just put 49 on Kentucky the other day?
That's unbelievable.
Georgia scored a whopping 13 on Kentucky. Okay? All right. Can we please get rid of Pro Football Focus? How the hell could they give Cam Ward a worse grade than they gave him for some of these other games?
Oh my God, forget Pro Football Focus. I want Greg's camera focus.
He had the bad throws.
If you can get Greg's camera focus, then I will start talking about Pro Football Focus.
The guy played spectacular game.
He did, but they grade every play, Greg, and he had a bad first quarter.
Oh, okay.
He missed
So
a lot of
okay.
missed a lot of throws early.
I understand. So these pencil neck geeks in some office somewhere are genius. They know how to
grade every
grade
play.
football.
That's their job. They don't value one play over the other.
Cam Ward played an awesome game the other day. So he missed a couple throws. So Matt, should we be scared of Florida State's 132nd ranked offense with their 15 points a game?
Hey, I'll give you some trivia, Greg. How many programs do they rank, the NCAA?
134.
133 from what I saw. But yeah.
Well, I saw 134.
I don't understand what your question is for me, because I keep saying they're going to kill Florida State, and Florida State's offense is
sorry,
terrible.
that was everything that said it's going to be a nail biter.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
I think he's a closet Florida State supporter too.
Yeah, me too. Okay. By the way, another non-believer, Lee Sterling, picked Louisville to beat Miami this week. Yeah.
Well, he said Louisville plus the 5. He ended up off 2 points. He wasn't that far.
He gave a score, Louisville to win outright.
I know, but the line was 5. He said he's taking
I understand
Louisville.
that.
He won that
still
far.
lost.
Yes, he did.
But anyway, okay. So last thing, which one of these great teams are we going to lose to now? You know, Haynes King is hurt for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, but he's day-to-day.
He's 13 this week.
He's day-to-day, Greg. He'll be back for the game, is my guess.
Oh, he's day-to-day, yeah. So we're scared of Haynes King now. By the way, we held Haynes King to 150 yards non-kneeling last year. He was a real threat. 150 yards.
And then he hit that play. Then he hit those passes late.
Right. By the way, most of the bad plays against Miami are being run at our right side of the defense. All these long runs, the screen passes. So is that Tyler Barron's side?
You know, that's a good question. I haven't really paid attention to which side they're. I haven't paid attention to that.
The other day, Tyler Barron tried to stunt, and they ran right around him for a touchdown.
I could tell you which way the other teams are running in this last game. I'll look real quick right now and let you know, Greg, because maybe what you see is something we can write about. That's actually interesting. Let me look.
I don't know.
If they're running a Tyler Barron all the time, that's really interesting.
Look at the Florida game, the Virginia Tech
well, I'm
game.
Look at let's not go crazy, Greg. I'm looking at the Louisville game first, all right?
Touchdown.
They ran around the right side 4 times, right off right guard, right tackle 4 times, left side 9 times. So no, it was 8 to the right, 9 to the left for their rushes. I'll check. I'll see if I can check.
But I'm saying the touchdown was to the left.
Yeah,
to the right side of our defense.
Yeah, he might have had a bad play.
Okay, my last quick point: Florida State is the equivalent of where we were 2 years ago when they beat us 45-0 or something. 45-3.
I think it's only the 3, 45-3 or something. Yeah, 47-3.
52-10 final.
I don't disagree.
That's my prediction.
I don't disagree either. Mario's not taking the pedal off for this one. So
exactly.
if Miami can score, they're going to score.
And Matt, one other prediction: Trump in a landslide. See you later.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Goodbye, Kamala.
Now it appears Greg does it. All the other stuff Greg was predicting that was correct. Now all that's out the window. How are you supposed to believe anything Greg said anymore?
What a mic drop that was, and he leaves us looking at the at the ceiling fan.
That's a light drop. That's not a mic drop. That's a light drop. Man, that guy, he is like if he's Sherlock Holmes, then I'm Moriarty and vice versa. He's my antithesis. The antithesis of me is certainly Greg. And you know what? A lot of what he said was correct today. Although I don't know about the defensive yards per play. Maybe they're first in the ACC. I find it hard to believe they're first on defense in the country, in the nation. I'll have to check that out. But certainly in ACC games, I mean, which were the ones that really are the good teams so far, notwithstanding Florida does seem better than they were. They have not performed well on defense, which is what people are worried about. And that's why people say stats are for losers, because you can sort of pick and choose. And when you're playing Florida A&M, Ball State, and South Florida, and you're winning by a combined, 200 to 20, that will impact the stats quite a lot, But here, I'll look real quick. The yards against, let's see here. Average per play against, no, there's no way they're first in the country. The opponents are averaging 5.1 yards per play against Miami. So they're definitely not number one in the country. Maybe by some whim of chance, they're number one in the ACC. But 5.1 yards per play for an opponent is not particularly good defense over a whole season, especially when you're playing Ball State and FAMU. And, I could see why he's a politician, a Trump supporter, Kamala supporter, whatever. You just make up whatever fits your narrative. Hey, Greg, they're last in points per play. They're last in defense per play. They can't do anything right. That was my Greg impersonation. Was that even remotely on? I don't know. And then I'm going to do this at the end. When I leave, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to have my light here with nothing else. That's going to be that's how I'm leaving.
Be your exit.
That's it. I'm done.
All right, but first, Showboy Kane says he thinks the injury of Damari Brown really hurt this team. What you think?
Doubt. Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, they need every healthy body they can get, and Damari Brown's actually pretty good. From what we saw last year. And again, Dallin Porter played really well last year and has not been good this year, right? Damari Brown was really good. It started the last 4 games last year. He actually wasn't very good before he got hurt that first game. Graded out terribly, didn't really do much, but it was the first game. Give me a break. And we know he's really, really talented. So you have to assume he might very well be the best cornerback they have on the roster.
Yeah, but you know what was weird? If you think back to the Florida game, they were targeting him.
Yeah, he wasn't good. That's why I said he wasn't good the first game. I know.
But I mean, when Florida game planned for that game, they singled him out as a guy they wanted to go after. They were going after him deep, and he held up okay. But so I don't, we don't know would Damari Brown be making a difference or not be making a difference. But I thought it was interesting that when he was playing, that he was a target of the opponent, which was looking at tape from last year. All right, Matt,
they like that matchup. A lot of times these offenses will say, let's get this guy matched up on that guy because of particular skill sets. It doesn't mean Damari isn't a good cornerback. Florida just felt like that was a good matchup is my guess. But yeah, I hear you.
So it's the time of the show for us to let you go. Blaine Boy here wants to blow your head up first.
Is that Matt? He's talking about Matt Merritt, I assume. Because the running backs have been pretty good. I agree with Blaine Boy. The running backs have been very good, Blaine Boy.
Parting thoughts, Matt, as Miami gets ready for Florida State.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think we should bring Greg on the show anymore. That's my parting thought. No, I'm just kidding. Greg is the GOAT. He always gets my GOAT. That's why he is the GOAT. But yeah, I've already said it. I don't see a world in which Miami doesn't easily beat Florida State. And if Miami has 3 turnovers and Florida State has none, then Miami wins by 20 points. Like that type of a game. I mean, you talk to these Florida State people, and it's like they've already given up. They don't even want to show up. I don't think there'll be any fans there for Florida State. It's just going to be a big Miami Hurricanes party, and Miami fans should enjoy every minute of it because this is probably the biggest mismatch on paper, record-wise, that I can remember. And I know Gary's covered the team since 1921.
In a Miami Florida State game, yeah, I agree. And there might have been 1 or 2 others, but yeah.
Yeah, I've covered the team for the better part of 25 years. So yeah, I mean, this is not, and people say, oh, but throw out the records in this rivalry and this, that. No, man, like at the end of the day, the bad news for Florida State is Miami's going to show up like it's a rivalry game, and Florida State's going to show up knowing they're going to get whooped, and they're going to be demoralized before the game even starts. This is like, remember in the old days when Miami would just walk on the field and you would just know Miami won already? Like you could just look at the other team. That's what this game is going to be. You could just look at these teams. When Miami comes out and Florida State comes out, you can just tell Miami's going to be bouncing around, energy, and Florida State's just going to be going through the motions, man, because that's what they are doing for the rest of the season. They are going through the motions. And people might say, oh, but it's their Super Bowl. This is not a team on Florida State, okay? This is a bunch of individuals that are playing for their futures at this point. And that's not going to bode well for the Seminoles, period. The reason why Miami's been so successful is because people are buying into Mario's culture, which is team football, right? a lot of the problems Miami had the last 20 years is individuals trying to do stuff, right? They talk about Superman plays, right? Guys doing stuff they're not supposed to do, trying to do the other guy's job. That's where you get into trouble. And that's why Miami is succeeding finally by the skin of their nose, by the way. Is that still a saying? I'm trying to use Gary's expressions from the 1940s. By the skin of their teeth. There's not even skin on your teeth. Why is that even a saying? It should be by the skin of your nose. So they're escaping by the skin of their nose. But you know what? They're escaping, and they're doing it as a team. They're not falling apart. Would any of these Miami teams for the last 20 years have come back from 15 points down, from 7 points down in the fourth quarter, from any sort of deficit in the second half at all, or at halftime at all?
5 points down. I mean,
they would fold. And that's what Florida State is this year, except they've already folded before the game even starts against good teams. So I think we're just going to really enjoy this game. I think Miami fans are going to be really, really happy come Saturday from everything I've seen and heard from the Florida State side, from the Miami side. As long as Miami shows up and does plays how they've been playing, this will not be one of those nail biters.
They will.
In the second half.
Coming back to Hard Rock night game, they will. The only thing that I can't understand, I didn't watch the game, was how the hell they beat Cal. I mean, to me, Cal's a much better team than Florida State. I don't understand what happened there. I mean,
Cal missed field goals. Cal had some costly, if I remember, a couple of turnovers, penalties. But Cal. The one thing I'll give Florida State is they've lost some close games. Okay, and Cal should have beat Florida State in a close game, but Cal honestly is not that good. I know Miami fans are freaked out but
they're better than Florida State. Florida State this should be an 0-7 Florida State team coming in here.
Oh, yeah, it should be 100%. Yeah. If Cal's kicker hits field goals, they're 0-7 Florida State.
Yeah, they're bad. And I'll be shocked if Miami doesn't blow them out. I think Miami's starting to round into form offensively. I think the matchup with the defense is much better this week than it's been the last few weeks.
Oh, and by the way, since my namesake, Mr. Owen, asked if I'm a Democrat, I'm registered as an independent. You can look it up. I sometimes vote one way, I sometimes vote the other. I actually hate both parties, which is why I'm an independent, but that's a whole other show, I think. So
yeah, no, I'm right there with you. All right, Matt. Thanks for being part of the show. As always, your fan club very happy to get their fix. And, we'll see you next time.
All right, later.
All right, guys. I'm gonna take a moment here and talk about CaneSwear, which is your ultimate destination for all your Miami Hurricanes gear. If it's got a U logo on it and you want it, you can find it at CaneSwear. Let's take a quick look at CaneSwear.
Welcome to CaneSwear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSwear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. CaneSwear, the spot.
We're talking T-shirts, jerseys, hoodies, hats, flags, decals, magnets. Whatever you could possibly want, you can get it at CaneSwear. If you're going to the game on Saturday night, CaneSwear is 15 minutes north of Hard Rock Stadium. You could stop in there. Maybe you don't have all your tailgating stuff like your tents and your chairs and stuff. They'll sell that to you. Anything else you want to take with you to the game. And then for food, you can go next door. There's a sub shop there called La Spada. I'll give them a plug because they feed Lamar every Wednesday night. And best subs in South Florida. So you can get it all covered on one trip, your gear, your food, and then slide 15 minutes down University to Hard Rock. You won't be sorry. So check out CaneSwear, 2655 South University Drive in Davie, or at caneswear.com, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Caneswear.com will have you covered as well. So CaneSwear, where the Canes fan goes to get the best merchandise that you could possibly find anywhere on the market today. And with that, let's go out. First I got to bring on the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, who I know is chomping at the bit to get in here after getting fired up by Matt. Bruce, welcome back. Let's start out with your opening impressions on what you saw this weekend and the outlook going into Florida State.
Well, it's pretty much what everybody else has said so far. It's the secondary for the most part. And it's scary to watch this because I thought after Va Tech, they take care of business against Cal, and that, that was a disaster till the end. And I was positive they play much better against Louisville, and Louisville put up 45 points, although not offensively. They had the turnover by Fletcher, and they scored, and they had the kick return for a touchdown. So actually, they gave up 31 points. But I called Charles Farms last night, and I talked to him about what is his thoughts. I mean, you know him; he played in the 80s, early 90s, and he's very concerned about it. His comment to me was, and Gary, you could answer this: how does he practice against this prolific offense all week long and not get better? They're not going against stiffs. This offense is incredible. You would think they'd be much better, but
they were. But that's what's blowing my mind. Like, they were in training camp, they were getting better. The defense did great in training camp. I was like really encouraged, but I was worried about the offense. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? You got Cam Ward, you got all these skilled players. Why is the defense holding its own against the offense? I mean, they dominated some of the practices early on. I don't know what's happened. Obviously, it looks to me like their preparation is breaking down. Quite honestly, for each individual opponent, when you see all the busts that they had against Cal, that's preparation, and it wasn't good enough. And I'm sure, I got to believe that that's very concerning to Mario. Against Louisville, I thought their preparation was better. I didn't see a lot of mentals out there, but I saw a lot of physical beatdowns on the perimeter, and those Louisville running backs had very quick feet. They were giving them a hard time. They couldn't tackle them. And then, of course, the receivers were getting open. So very lucky to get out of Louisville with a win. Cam erased it all again. But I think the defense will do better when they have better matchups down the stretch here.
Yeah, but the thing he was telling me, Gary, was he was saying the eye discipline is still bad. The angles are still bad. The tackling is still poor, and they get maybe within 2 or 3 yards of a receiver. They're not even tackling him; they're whiffing. That's scary. It looks like they have ice skates on instead of cleats. And so, I don't know what it is, but it's not one guy; it's the whole team. The whole secondary looks like this. Crossing routes wide open. They're just going deep. They're open. It's pretty scary. And then Farm said to me, "Are they playing cover one? Are they in man-to-man? It doesn't look like it. Are they going to cover two, a cover three? Are they jamming the receivers at the line of scrimmage? I don't know if they're good enough to do that." So he didn't have an answer for me, but he just said, you know what, maybe some zone. And they tried that last week. They had a mix of, seeing one-on-one, and they had zone, and it didn't seem to matter. So, there's some guys that are coming here next year. You have the list of the recruits that are committed. Those guys are good, legitimately good.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
right. We don't know. I mean, everybody's asking on the board, what happened to Stafford? Thought he was going to be so good. He's not even on the field. He's on special teams, but that's about it. Zaquan's definitely play more, but he wasn't ready early in the season.
But you try to put him out there for 50, 60 snaps, he's not going to hold up, and that's why they're not doing it.
Of course not. Mish Powell, he seems to be a mystery. He had a good game against the Gators.
He's good unless he gets a bad matchup.
Right. He'd be better as a safety. Let him stay back. I saw him against in the I think it was the Cal and the Vatek game. He was lined up one-on-one with a receiver. He can't be doing that, but he is. So
they don't have anybody else.
Yeah. And I asked him about because I think Greg brought it up about Barron. And he said Barron has twice or three times this year, when he's lined up at the end position, gone to the inside, and he didn't seal the edge, and they burned him. So he said there has to be what's called an L. He goes up the field, which is sealing the edge. Then he could turn to the inside if he can get to the guy. But he's going in the inside right away, and they're just burning him. So multiple plays that we saw against Vatek. We saw it against South Florida. We saw it the last 2 weeks. They're not sealing the edge, and they're turning the corner on us, and it's frightening. So, I don't have an answer because I'm not a D coordinator. I'm not down on Guidry, but something has to be done. The secondary is just piss poor.
Anthony Guadagnino, he says Miami's going to be blitzing and coming at the FSU quarterback all night. I think they're the opposite. I think they're going to hope to get there with 4,
right,
and make sure that nobody's open. And because Florida State simply just should not have the weapons to give Miami a lot of trouble at all.
No, because he's a screen coach, so they'll screen us to death if you start blitzing. So I don't want to do that at all. I have enough confidence in our D line to get to these guys. I mean, you got Brock, Glenn, a redshirt sophomore, and the other kid is a true freshman. I mean, he was okay the other day against Duke, but Duke, they don't scare me. I think we got to just play regular base defense. We should still beat these guys.
Yeah. All right, let's go to BK Hurricane. Welcome back to CaneSport Live, BK.
What's up, Gary? What's up, Bruce? What's going
on? How you doing, man? I think you got to either talk into the mic a little closer or something. I don't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Now we can, yeah.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Listen, I'm more worried about the linebackers than the secondary. The secondary is what it is. We knew what they were going to be, but to have Kiko Mawanoa regress the way that he has, it's an issue. Wesley Besant is he's just okay. He's just okay. He hasn't pretty much lived up to his billing out of high school. He was supposed to be this all-world linebacker that's going to come in here. They're just okay.
He looked good the first couple of games. To me, he looked really good the first couple of games.
First couple of games were 4 or 5 weeks ago, Bruce.
Right, I know.
It's a new day, and they're not looking very good. And I'm disappointed in the development, particularly at that position, because I'm getting sick and tired of seeing them long runs, something that I haven't seen in years at Miami.
Yeah, in years.
In years.
Nobody ran on us. Even when we weren't that good, nobody ran on, right.
Even when we weren't that good, exactly.
Right.
I'm sick and tired. Every Saturday, there's a long run. At least two. I'm talking over 50 yards. And it's all linebackers out of position, linebackers missing the first initial tackle, linebackers taking the wrong line to the runner. If we could stop those long runs, the secondary is what they are. It's a different ball game, specifically at Louisville, right? Everybody like to say, okay, we gave up the long kickoff return, and then we fumbled on the next play, so that's 14 points. How about taking away that long run from that running back?
Yeah, he ran around the left side. That was one of the plays. They didn't seal the edge again. That's what I just said.
Didn't seal the edge.
But I think Mawanoa is guessing, though. I think he's doing a lot of guessing. He doesn't seem to be locked in. It seems like he's just not sure where he's supposed to go, so he's just guessing. He wants to make big plays, but he needs to be a little more consistent with what he's doing.
Right, and nobody's locked in. And what's worrying me the most is that, granted, we have Cam Ward, generational quarterback. We will be back in the portal for a quarterback, but we'll be back in the portal for linebackers and secondary as well. And that's terrible considering the level of recruiting that we specifically did at linebacker.
Well, I think Aguirre's playing pretty darn well. He looks good.
He's good.
Yeah.
I think Malik Bryant, what's going on with him? Like
he's on the D line.
He was banged up last week. He's playing defensive end.
Yeah,
he's playing defensive end now. Where's everybody else?
Cam Pruitt was a guy, but he's a true freshman, and they clearly don't think he's ready. But he's the guy that looks like he could be pretty good. He's just not developing. Good question.
Chase Smith.
Chase Smith surprises me because he looked good in camp.
Yeah,
but they haven't played him that much.
Bad evaluations. Bad evaluations, specifically at linebacker. A position that we hardly ever missed on. We hardly ever missed on at linebacker. And
where are the great linebackers? I'm going to ask the same question. Where are the great linebackers from Dade County? Where they at?
Broward. We need to find out if Jesse's got kids, if Darren Smith's got kids,
where they at?
Arrow's got kids.
Well, Gary, the way I look at it is South Florida. We have to turn into the Nick Saban approach in recruiting South Florida. You take the best kid and then you move on. You can't build a roster anymore in South Florida.
I agree. It's not right now. I don't see it.
And you bounce.
Yeah, I don't see the talent right now. But the best guy was Jeremiah Smith, a generational talent, and we didn't get him.
Yep. By the way, Bryant was sick. They didn't let him on the plane. He didn't feel good. They were not going to let him travel, so he didn't even go.
Okay. But I'm disappointed at those two positions specifically: linebacker, defensive back. We're going to spend a ton of money. The two positions that you're going to spend a ton of money on in the portal are defensive back, defensive tackles, and quarterback. And we're going to spend a boatload of money on those three positions in the portal.
I asked Shannon Dawson this week, to how the quarterbacks were doing, the backup quarterbacks, and he didn't really answer the question. And that tells me that you might be right, that they might be going into the portal again for next year's starter.
What surprises me about Shannon Dawson, he's recruiting these quarterbacks that don't necessarily fit the system he wants to run.
No, they do. It's just Cam Ward is unique. Cam Ward has changed the system.
No, okay. Cam Ward has changed the system.
The Emery, Judd, Luke Nickel, who's coming in, they all fit the system. It's just Cam Ward. Cam Ward is a system of his own.
Right. But Gary, listen, they're kind of statues, and this is the argument that Dawson had with Van Dyke. He would tell him, listen, if nothing is there, just take off. I'm not prepared to see the Williams kid take off. I'm not prepared to see the Judd kid take off. I'm not prepared to see the Luke Nickel kid take off.
Well, if you're not mobile, you better be a damn good passer. Yeah. You better be an elite thrower. The kid at Louisville was kind of a statue. That kid looked to me like an elite passer. But if you're not going to be that good, I mean, you're right. Carson Beck doesn't really run that much, does he? But
But look at the offensive line he's playing behind.
Yeah.
Look at unless we get an offensive line like Georgia, then I'm okay with Williams. I'm okay with Judd. I'm okay with Nickel. I'm okay with any of these
they're
guys.
trying to be that. That's the goal.
Right. I don't think, BK, you're going to see anything like Ward. I don't know how old you are. I don't know how long you're going to live, 50, but you might not see this again. It's so unique. It's just ridiculous. It's so different.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again. If he would have committed that first cycle, holy smokes. You know how many kids would have came to Miami just to have 1 year?
What do you mean the first cycle? He did commit in the first cycle, but he committed late in the first cycle.
I'm sorry, the first window.
Yeah, he did.
No, remember he held us off until like spring?
No, not spring, January, beginning of January. He committed in the first, but it was later on.
I mean, what I meant to say, like prior to the signing day, like if he would have committed prior to signing day.
Whatever.
Maybe Jeremiah comes.
Maybe Jeremiah might have come, but I think he was locked into Ohio State for more reasons than one.
Yeah.
All right, BK.
I don't understand why so many good wide receivers go to Ohio State. Because
Brian Hartline does a great job.
Brandon Ennis. That kid might never play.
He might not. And he knew that. That's his problem.
I'm talking about in college.
I know.
That was the risk he took. Yeah.
That was right. That was the risk he took.
Never play again in college.
I know.
Ohio State makes linebackers.
I don't know that Miami would take him back. I don't know that they would take Brandon Ennis now.
I don't think they would either. They got JoJo. They got a chance. They have people. They have Nykar. I don't know if they would bring him back.
Never.
And you still have Horton for another year at least. So I don't think they would even consider bringing him back. Somebody else maybe, but not him.
All right, BK.
All right, but listen, Gary.
Yes, sir.
I think Miami's going to put up the 60 burger.
I don't know about 60, but I'm with you. I am expecting a big win.
They're going to do them like Georgia did them. They're going to put up the 60 burger.
Hey, BK, they can get there with a pick six, which we haven't seen that much in a long time. A pick six would be nice.
A big Miami victory.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, Gary.
All right, man. We'll see you next week.
All right, Bruce.
You too. Take care, brother. Wow.
All right, let's go to
7-0. Look at all the complaints.
Hey, Gary.
Adam's in the twilight zone tonight.
Yeah.
Adam, you look like you're vibing over there tonight. What's going on, man? That woman of yours, she's got the lights turned down. Like, what's the word?
Sorry.
He looks like he's being held hostage. I mean, I'm not saying anything about what's going on in the Middle East, but he doesn't look like he's really where he should be.
No, I am. Trust me. No, thanks. A couple things. One, what about Aldarius Hayes? Is he just not ready yet?
Just not ready yet, but he's got some promise.
Yeah, he's young.
He's a true freshman, but he's looked good on special teams, and I think he's got some promise. I think Cam Pruitt has some promise.
Also, is there any fear that we're overlooking Florida State?
I don't think so, because it's Florida State.
I don't think so either, but I am worried about what you're saying. It does concern me, but I don't see how. You've watched them play. They're terrible. Even if they play great, they still can't beat us. I don't see it.
Mario's going to want to bury these guys.
Yes, he does.
And that's going to shine through to the players. He is going to want to bury Florida State.
No, I mean,
for more reasons than one, and just beating them, but they're recruiting. And 2 years ago, when our guys were all hurt and banged up, and they knocked the crap out of Van Dyke. I just don't see him letting up at all. And I think the second stringers are going to go out there and do a number on them too when it's their turn.
Okay. A couple other things. Do you see us in a flip position for the kid from the USC commit and then that Duke commit that are coming down? Do you see them as real possibilities?
Too soon to say. There's a lot of kids coming in this weekend. They got a very, very lengthy recruiting list. It's too soon to say. The only one that we know that is really imminent to likely commit is Camden Portis, Clint Portis' son.
Right. But he's in 2026.
Yeah, he's 2026 kid, but it's too soon to say on some of these other guys. Maybe after this weekend, some of it'll come more into focus.
Well, I think Solomon Thomas is somebody who, while they're down here, they really need to lock him in. I think they could flip him.
They've been trying for months.
I understand, but he's going to be here though. Maybe he's going to be sitting in their section. Who knows? But yeah, I think they have a better chance at Hanks than they do Pickett. Although I still think there's a shot at Pickett.
Yeah,
they would go all in on Hanks and Pickett.
Yes, all in. They need these guys badly.
Yeah,
badly. They need them.
A couple of things, and maybe I missed this. What did Lance Guidry say about the defensive miscues at Louisville?
His basic suggestion was that they just weren't good, like physically good enough. I think he sees it as a talent issue, that he just doesn't have the tools to work with to run his schemes, and he's covering up for things. And when you play a really good, skilled team like Louisville, you're just hanging on for dear life. And listen, they won the game. They were up 2 touchdowns till they gave up that late touchdown. So it worked. I mean, they had some moments in the game where they did okay, but Louisville's a very talented offensive team. And I'll tell you, the other thing that Louisville does is they're very good at figuring out your signals and things like that. And kind of knowing what defense you're in. And there's a lot more there that meets the eye, but I think he's just sort of understanding that he doesn't have everything he really needs to do what he wants to do.
Listen, Brom is a great offensive mind. He takes advantage of our over-aggressiveness or over-pursuit, our failure to seal the edge. And so when I asked Charles Farms last night about this stuff, and I mentioned it a few minutes ago, the eye discipline is not there. They're looking at something, they're showing something, and they're going away from that. And these guys are biting and they're getting burned. And if you watch the games, you've seen lately, the kid from Cal did that. He would pump and they would come up and bite, boom, over the top. And there was a lot of motion last week with Louisville, and they'd have our guys chasing them and the ball would go to the other side. So that's a smart offensive coordinator. I mean, I don't know how good Florida State's guy is. They look pretty bad. Even whatever talent they have, they're dropping balls. They can't run. Their offensive line is a sieve. So I expect us to be much better this week, much better, like Gary said.
Biggie Bajibi, he's got to figure it out, Adam.
Yeah. have been facing.
Been
Definitely.
facing good quarterbacks.
Yes,
man.
they have.
No, but the thing is Miami, and we can quibble over if Hank Backmaster is a good quarterback, but we won't be really facing a competent quarterback now till Kyle McCord at Syracuse. So we now have time, unless you can.
Haynes King can hurt you a little bit.
Yeah, he can.
He did last year.
But isn't he injured?
It came late.
Yeah, but he'll be back for that game. That's 3 weeks away. Yeah, he'll be.
Okay.
Listen,
I thought
they
he
beat us
was
last year,
injured.
but Gary, they stayed in the game way too long. We should have destroyed them last year. We cannot let them be in a position, a team like that, or Duke, or anybody else we play after this week, to be in a position to beat us in the fourth quarter. That's what's going to have to change. And I don't think Florida State's going to be on the field in the fourth quarter with any chance to win this game, or maybe even the second half, because I think we're going to kill these guys.
Yeah, I mean,
and play with emotion that we haven't seen since the Florida game, truthfully.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for taking my call. Just a couple of things. Have a great rest of the show.
Tell your wife to put some light on you.
I will. Talk to you. Bye.
All right, Adam. Christopher Wright, he's on a roll tonight. Goodry just has to figure out what this defense is good at and then be great at that. I kind of agree with that. But I still think
if that's possible, we don't know.
I still think it's all dependent on the matchups. This defense has not been that bad when it's faced ordinary offenses that don't have a lot of speed. And the Cal game, like I said, they had a lot of mentals, but the Louisville game, I think they ran into some speed that they couldn't handle very well, and that was the problem. Miami doesn't have a ton of speed, really, and on
not
the outside.
not in the secondary, really.
I'm talking about even on Restrepo's not a burner. I mean, Horton can run, but he's not a burner. Even Jacoby George, he can run, but he's not a burner. I mean, they don't really have a burner on offense. So when I'm talking about what they were able to do on the practice field, that might have given a little bit of a false security to the defense. Not that there was anything they could do about it, but they're not matching up against a tons of crazy speed on the Miami offense either. I mean, it's more of a solid physical execution scheme it up type of offense. And that doesn't give them as much of a problem as just the pure athleticism I think that Louisville had. And I think that's why we're kind of feeling that way.
But Gary, you know what? Miami has something that a lot of teams don't have. They have multiple receivers. They have backs who could run and catch, and they have tight ends that can catch.
Yeah, they have everything.
So you have everything, and you just can't pick one area to shut Miami down, because Cam Ward gets to the line of scrimmage. He knows exactly where their weakness is, and that's the difference.
Yep, he's pretty good at figuring it out. Let's go to Sebastian. Let's go to I'm trying to go to Sebastian. Where the hell is he? Wait, let's try this again.
He's spinning in a circle.
Am I up?
Sebastian, where are you? I saw you a minute ago. We'll bring him back here in a minute when he gets his picture straightened out. Let's take a look at some of these comments, Bruce. Jeff Lynn ELO says Kiko compared to last year's having a bad season, looks slow, takes bad angles, doesn't tackle as well as last year. Hard to disagree with that.
Agree.
Don't know the reason for it. He's a pretty damn good football player, but he has struggled a little bit at times, and obviously, hopefully he'll get it straightened out. I just don't know how.
Maybe he thinks he's a pass rusher because he's got ability to make tackles in the backfield, but he's not making tackles at the line of scrimmage or down. By the way, Jeff Lynn's I'm a big Jeff Lynn and ELO fan, so I'm glad you're on the show, buddy. They're great. They are great. Yeah, he's not tackling as well either. Seems like that many. And the beauty of having Simeon Barrow, he's really made a difference, Gary. The one thing we used to have back in the day is we had guys going up the field and making plays in the backfield. This guy is like Tez and Russell and Jerome and Sapp and those guys. That's what he reminds me of. He's really helping that defensive line. His penetration is causing all kinds of problems.
As much as we're sitting here talking tonight about the defense, Biggie Bejeebers, he makes a decent point, Bruce. The defense has had some important stops in games this year. I mean, they've had struggles too, but it hasn't been all bad all the time. You know,
Yeah.
they have had some decent moments. All right, let's go to Sebastian. There you go. Welcome back to CaneSport Live, Sebastian.
Man, I didn't know what I don't know if it was my
You
connection or what
you
was going
froze on it. Yeah.
Everything's the first question I have, Gary, is how much fun did you have up there in Louisville? It looked like you was having a good time. What was it like for you?
I mean, I had a great time. I was over at Caesars with a bunch of Canes fans, and played a great golf course over there in Southern Indiana, and had a nice dinner at Gordon Ramsay Steakhouse, and went to the game, and the game was entertaining. I had a really good weekend. It was a good road trip.
No, it looks like you was having a good time. I mean, just a couple of clips we saw on like Instagram and YouTube and stuff with Michael Irvin on the sideline.
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw that.
It looked like it was a fun event. I mean, thank God we won, but it looked like for the fans that traveled up there, I think they kind of represented, and it looks like they supported the team, and it was a great earned win. I want to say deserved win, but an earned win, and I was really, really proud of. The first thing I wanted to say is let's give credit to Louisville. You know, their record probably doesn't show as good of a team as they are. You know, Braum, he gives Guidry fits. He has for the last 2 years. I mean, he hits the transfer portal hard. He gets the players that he needs that fit his system. And, I mean, you have to realize player for player, their offensive player against our defensive player, I mean, that was a tough matchup. I just have to – I mean, we want our defense to play better, but let's understand that, you know, we went up against a very, very good team. I mean, I think Louisville has an offensive team that if they're in the college football playoffs, you don't want to play them. That's just my thoughts on it. Second comment I wanted to make is I talked about it last week in relations to what type of impact was Jalen Rivers going to make. I think he made a huge impact.
Massive.
Yeah. And so did Bell, because they kicked Rivers to the inside, and Bell played well on the left side.
Yeah, I didn't know they were going to kick him to guard and move Markel Bell to tackle, but they ran on that left side, and I'm telling you, the run game was impressive, at least what we saw on television. And so I'm wondering, are they going to try to do something like that for the other guard? I can't think of his name. God dog it, the one from Alabama. To give him an opportunity to kind of get some rest, and maybe I don't know if Samson Okonowo can get in there and just kind of build that depth, because I think if we can develop that throughout the season, that could be dangerous, because most teams expect us to pass with the all-world Cam Ward that we have, but if we could run the football, that'll help our defense out a lot, and that can make us a very dangerous team. What's your thoughts on that?
Jalen Rivers makes a huge difference in that. It opens up a lot of different things that they can do in the run play. I was watching one play where he started at left tackle and ended up at right tackle before the running back got to the line of scrimmage. Having a guy that can move like that, and it just opens up a lot more variety in the run game that seemed to really suit the situation very well the other day. And I thought they were physical. I thought they were blowing open holes, and the running backs were running angry.
They look like Florida. They look like the first game of the season when they played Florida. That's what they
or even better.
Yeah.
And you can see that Elijah Lofton's in there too a lot, and he's blowing up holes too. He's really helping out.
I just don't want him to get that, what they call it, that procedure when he turns upfield too quickly, when he's in motion or something like that silly penalty or whatnot. But they just look physical. They look like, from the line of scrimmage perspective, they kind of really control the game. And I just feel like if we're able to do something like that and rotate our guards, that could be something that could really play dividends later on in the season when you're trying to protect that defense.
We scored 52 points, and I don't even think Arroyo caught one ball.
Yeah, but you know the thing Arroyo did? He did have an impact on the game, and I think Shannon Dawson talked about it.
He blocked.
He broke up that interception.
Yes.
That potential interception that Cam could have thrown. And you guys have not mentioned it, but to get through a game where Cam Ward did not throw an interception, some of them were not his fault in the season, but the fact that he did not, he protected the football. The next time you interview Shannon Dawson, we should talk about how let's give Cam some credit. He protected the football. There were times that he took the sack, right? That was one. He took the sack, but then two, he would run, and he got us a couple of first downs too. And I think like when we're getting to later in the season, we're playing against some great defenses and whatnot. You need a disciplined quarterback like that.
It's looking pretty obvious. If Miami's going to lose one of these games, it's going to be because of turnovers. If he doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to be very, very, very difficult for any of these teams.
Yeah, and I thought he did a good job of protecting.
Absolutely did.
Protecting the football. You know, I wanted to talk to you about this, Gary, and I'm glad I got Bruce Warren on here. So last year, you know, we lost two safeties that went to the NFL, and there were times during the season where they didn't play all that great. We knew going into the season we weren't going to have a lot on the back end. And I knew our priority was to fix up front, and I think we did that. I think where we missed it was, I think we had some cornerbacks that transferred out the program. There was some recruited, like the Sweeney kid, that didn't really pan out for us. I'm disappointed that Stafford is not really paying dividends for us. However, we changed defensive back coaches, and we didn't fix that. Like, we didn't recruit it in the transfer portal. And, you know, I think we're probably one defensive lineman more in the transfer portal that we needed. I didn't think we were going, you know, maybe because we didn't think we were going to get Simeon Barrow at the very end. Well, we could.
You don't know where you're going to have injuries, Sebastian.
Yeah, you could have some injuries, but I think we're one or two defensive backs short that we could have gotten a transfer portal. I'll give you an example. So LSU.
But you got to figure they figured Damari Brown and it would be and Porter. I think on paper that sounds pretty good to me.
Well, Bruce, here's what happened. I think Porter's playing out of position. I don't think he's a slot corner. I think he plays better on the outside. I mean, he grades better when he's on the outside. I think when you had to move him to the slot because of Brown's injury, I think that really hurt the defense. The second point I wanted to make is, so LSU is a team that normally recruits defensive backs real well. They had 5 that transferred out of their program last year.
We didn't get any of them.
And I would venture to say that if we would have picked up one of those kids with Chevis Jackson, that was, you know, from Louisiana, if we'd have picked up one, that may have made a difference in what we're experiencing in the secondary. Because here's my fear. I think we're an injury in a secondary away from this thing kind of completely blowing up on us. What are your thoughts on that?
You're not, you know, hopefully you're not right. But I could see why he would feel that way. We haven't seen the depth, you know. We don't see these young guys, you know, the Dylan Days of the world getting thrown out there by the coaches, and that means they're not ready. I mean, they're not holding anybody back. Zaquan Patterson's the closest to being able to help more. They're going to increase his reps this week, but I don't know. He's not ready, like I said earlier, for a full load. I don't think you're going to see him out there.
I don't think he's ready, but I would love to see him start. Especially against Florida State, because you're not going against
you might.
Yeah, you might.
You might. Starting doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot on this team. Like, you see guys start, like, you know, one week Martinez starts at running back. The next week Fletcher starts at running back. It doesn't matter. At the end of the game, they end up with basically 12 carries apiece. Like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, Jacoby George didn't get the start last week. I think they were trying to set him a bit of a message, but he still was in there by the third play. I mean, what difference does it make?
Yeah, but I think maybe Zaquan should play, and if he makes a big hit in front of that home crowd, it'll get them jacked up. I think he should start. I really do. I haven't seen much from any of the guys. You know, I thought they'd be a lot better at safety than they are, and I don't know where they're putting Mish Powell.
Well, first of all, I'm not a big fan when they give us these, like, I think we should beat Florida State pretty handily. I'm not intimidated by them this year, but I don't like the line of 20 points. I mean, this is college football. But if this game gets out of hand, this would be a great game to play Dylan Day and Mish Powell and just kind of build that depth and some of that experience, get maybe a little bit more of that speed on the field or whatnot. Because when you get to the playoffs, you don't know what that's going to look like. You just don't know what that's going to look like. And you don't want an injury or, you know, a targeting hit for a kid to get kicked out the game. And then all of a sudden you don't have enough reps from that back on the back end to kind of take you over. So
it would nice to see them get one more guy out there. I totally
Sebastian,
agree.
what do you think? It looks like if you pick every one of these guys, they've had some great moments, and then they haven't. Number 7, he's looked good early. Lately, he's been getting burned, bad angles. 19, same thing. 25, Judeus. I mean, some good and then some horrible plays. They don't seem to be consistent.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think there's something else that you could do. I think you could simplify the defense. I think
that's what Charles Forms told me last night, Sebastian. Simplify the defense.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
I think you could simplify the defense. I think you can trust your defensive linemen. There was somebody I listened to that says we need to stop getting Marinoa to fake like he's blitzing and then trying to get back to his position and chasing the running back, because he probably doesn't have the foot speed to kind of keep up with him and just play that base. I think our defensive lineman is strong enough to impact the game. I'm not saying that they're going to get that every single shot, but I'd rather have the linebackers in position instead of chasing a fast running back that they just can't keep up to.
That makes sense. That's what I said before. I think he's guessing a lot.
I think you should simplify the defense, because the next couple of teams that we play, we're not playing a prolific quarterback, right? We're not playing Braun, and we're not playing this Shuck guy that's probably going to be on some NFL roster next year. So I would just simplify the defense and just, you have an offense that can put up points on the board and not take all these chances that we need to. And hopefully when Damari Brown comes back, if he comes back at the end of the year, maybe we can find some success in there. Gary, you're shaking your head. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. Damari might make it back late in the year. But I would like to see one or two other guys develop here in the next month to where they feel comfortable to put them out there a little bit.
Do you have any names, Gary? Like who?
I mean, I look at Dylan Day. I mean, he's looked great on special teams. I mean, at times, I mean, I would like to think maybe
what happened to the Williams kid? I mean, I know he doesn't. I know he's not built. I mean, he's not physically.
They just don't seem to think he should be out there very much. I mean, they play him, but there's something they're seeing in practice.
Played a little bit more. I think he played a little bit more in the first game of the season against Florida and gave Mish Powell a break every now and then. But it doesn't seem like they put him out there. Marquise Williams, I think that's his name. They don't put him
Marquise,
right at all.
But he may play more because Jaden Harris is struggling a little bit. So who knows?
The thing about Jaden Harris, here's what I would say about Jaden Harris. To me, he's supposed to be a fast guy. He doesn't play fast. That's what I see. Like the touchdown against Florida, he didn't run that guy down. And that guy, when he got around the edge, you saw Brown just leave him. And it didn't seem like he was closing in on him at all. And Jaden Davis, I think he's a pretty fast guy. He just doesn't seem like he plays fast. And that's just because he's kind of learning. But sometimes you can take a guy off the field that has been played a lot and put Patterson in and let someone else see it in real time. And maybe that's a way of kind of coaching them up, because I think you're going to need both of those players to be able to take us to the very end. I don't want to hog it up, so I just want to talk a little bit about recruiting. So we got 22 commits. I don't know how big this class is going to be, and maybe, Gary, you could speak towards that, but there's a lot out there that's appealing to the eye. And I just don't know where you're going to find places where you're going to say no to a Harris or a Pickett or a Arnold.
They're not. They're not going to say no. They're going to figure it out. There is still enough. God, man, I hate to. I don't know what better word to use than fat. There's still enough fat on the roster that they'll do whatever they got to do. Like, they got to keep making this program better. I think we're seeing that this year they found a quarterback that could erase a lot. Okay. Otherwise, I believe this would have been an 8-win maybe football team. Just another team in college football, and that's not what Mario's looking for. You can
see our recruiting class getting up to like 26 to 30.
I can, yeah, and then portal guys. And the other thing that we don't know is what the roster limit's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've decided that yet. There was talk that they might go up to 105 roster spots.
Right.
I don't know when that's
a lot.
I think it's too many, but I don't know when they're supposed to decide that and when that's supposed to work itself out. But if they feel they're bringing in better players than what they had, they're not going to worry about it. Mario's not afraid to make the hard decisions.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Hey, Sebastian,
I'll say this and I'm done. Our cornerback room, hopefully next year, needs to look like what our running back room looks like right now. That is, to me, I think, because I think our defensive line is close to that. But if we have this conversation next year, Gary, what I want you to remember is I think our cornerback room needs to look like what our running back room looks like this year.
I agree.
You see when A.J. Allen, when you put some guy in there, there's not that much of a drop-off in relations to capability and talent and productivity. So those are my
that's why we need Hanks and we need Pickett. We need two more of those guys that are high-end guys that are all about football. But one of the things, just quickly, that I spoke to Farms about last night, and I don't know because I never played DB. I don't know what you were. Gary never did. Is communication. I don't know from that, but he said they're not communicating. You could see it. They're just lost out there.
Here's what I would say about communication, Bruce. The thing about communication to me is you need reps. You need to be on the field. You need to be you need to be facing the live bullets. Because it's one thing to kind of get it in camp and, and learning and practice and stuff, but you also need to be able to exercise it in the game because things change in the game. They change up the play, change up the scheme, change up the motion and stuff like that. And being able to practice that, and that's why I want to see, I want to see Patterson, I want to see Day because they need that experience because you don't need to be that in the playoff game and be blowing it like that because they'll find it. So
they'll find it. Yep.
All right, Sebastian. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a good weekend, Gary. Have fun again.
You got it, my man. We'll see you next week. All right, Bruce. Before we go here, let's take a look at some more of these comments.
We didn't get a call from T-Dog, and I told him he can come to the tailgate and I'll get him in, but I haven't heard from him. So,
let me just look here at some of these. Give me a minute, guys. I gotta find the better ones. Steel Cane. He's talking about Tyler Barron here. I don't know what I'm talking about. Bruce, I don't see Tyler Barron being a big factor out there like I think he should be.
I see him getting the backfield. He's just running. They're just stepping up in the pocket, and he's not making the plays. But he is getting back there.
Yeah, I think Steel King. He's just here trying to you can see he's just here looking to take shots at me. You can't.
That's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, but you can't you can't support that Tyler Barron's been playing great because he hasn't been.
He hasn't been. He was.
Yeah, I don't. Let's see. A lot of confidence, as there should be. That Miami is going to handle Florida State very, very well. Let's see what this one is. The reason why kids are moving out of Dade and Broward is because the rent is too high. Very interesting comment. People can't afford to live in South Florida, Bruce, is what Showboy Kane is saying. And, I hear this a lot from people outside the football world that it's gotten too expensive to live in South Florida and a lot of people are having to move out. You think that's a factor?
It could be a factor. It's not the factor. Look, a lot of these guys that they've gotten, it seems like they were good players in high school. They just haven't produced. I don't know. I don't know our DB coach. We had a different one last year. Now we have another guy. Everybody seems to like him. We haven't really seen the changes in our secondary, but they're still young. Most of these kids are pretty young.
Cristoforo says that Mario's building from the inside out, which he is, and that this will be the year they land blue chip secondary players. I can promise you the secondary is they got to get Ben Hanks and DJ Pickett. And I think they will I think those guys will have the NIL deals that they need at Miami, and that they command at Miami. Nobody's going to give them a better NIL deal than Miami, and they just got to convince those guys that this place is where they're
But
supposed
they
to
still
be.
have good recruits. They have Hilton Stubbs. They have guys. They have some guys that are coming in next year.
Hilton Stubbs looks like he's going to be a very good player,
right?
But he's got to come here and learn and be that. Jeff Lynn's talking about Gidry Sucks as a recruiter. He's not here to be a recruiter. He's here to be a coordinator. The coordinators really don't do a lot of the heavy lifting recruiting for Mario.
You would think that, between Rumpf and Roland, there's two guys out there that should be able to help get these kids, these Dade County kids, especially Roland. Those are his.
They're not there. That's the point I've been making. The Dade County kids aren't there. Where are they? Where are the stud defensive backs from Dade County? I don't see that. I just don't see it.
There's other parts of this country too, other than Florida or South Florida, so you just have to get them. But I think they have a couple of really good players that they're bringing in, but the two big names, Hanks and Pickett, are the guys that we have to get.
Pinella says the defense is going to play well these last 5 games, and I agree. I agree that it will play better because I don't think they have the bad matchup that they had against Louisville with any of these teams coming up, and I think that's going to allow them to play better. I don't think it's as bad as it's been made to look the last couple weeks against Cal. It was their fault. Okay. They were making the mental bust. They gave up 4 plays of over 50 yards, unacceptable, and it made it a close game. But I don't know that they're going to have the same problem. Like Louisville, they just had physical problems, but I don't see them having that against these teams that are left on the schedule.
What about this? Because I've heard some people make comments that the front four is not getting to the quarterback. They were, and now that's kind of stopped. Barron is one of them.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily the DBs. It's the front four is not getting there.
Tyler Barron has disappeared. I'm telling you, he has disappeared. I know he shows up every now and then, but that's not good enough. I mean, this guy was your prize acquisition on the defensive line as a defensive end.
Right.
He had a great Florida game. I'm not counting the 3 sacks he had against FAMU. Who cares? But he's been invisible since. And that's the guy to me that's got to step up.
So take him out, put Messidor out there, let Moten play inside, or rotate the inside guys. If Barron is not doing what he's supposed to, especially not sealing the edge a couple of times this season, but he does have the talent.
They did it a little bit against Louisville. You did see Messidor go outside some, but you see the frustration from Messidor. He's not having the season that he expected. All right, Billy DeLue's talking about the quarterback in 2025. Portal will stick to recruiting. I tried to talk to Shannon Dawson about this week, and he didn't answer my question.
Maybe he did.
And that's what I was just going to say. Maybe he did by not answering
Maybe he
it. They love Emory Williams. Emory Williams, they love him. They love him. They love him. The question that they have to decide is Emory Williams, after experiencing what they have experienced this year at quarterback and seeing what a guy of a high ability level, proven high ability level, what that means to the whole team in general and the program, taking what I still believe, like I said, is an 8-win team, making it a potential 12-win team. That's a massive impact. And they got to consider all options. Like, they got to see what's in the portal and then have a competition in spring practice. And that's what Shannon said, spring practice. They just got to get Emory to hang in there. I think he will. And compete in spring practice with Luke Nickel, Judd Anderson, and whatever else. I'm expecting Reese to go in the portal. That's just me. Maybe he will.
I agree with that. And I also think that maybe that Darian Coleman kid could be the answer in 2 years.
He's just little. We'll see. I'll believe that one when I see it.
Little?
He's good, but he's little. Yes, he's little.
But he was like 6'3".
No, he's not. Maybe he will be, but he's still got 2 years. But right now he's little. I hope he has a growth spurt. We'll see, but
and they're probably going to go to the portal because I don't think Judd Anderson is remotely close to something that Cam can do.
Adrian Presley says the linebackers are taking themselves right out of play. In some isolated situations, like I don't know that I would make a blanket assessment that that's
They're not maintaining gap integrity. That's for damn sure. They're like individualizing their play on the field. That's what it looks like to me. The Saint looks out of it. Now when Noah looks like he's out of it, they're just guessing and they're going to the wrong hole. They need to be a little more disciplined with what they're doing, because they do seem like they're just guessing and they're not where they're supposed to be. And they're both whiffing on tackles. 47-0. Okay.
Yeah, this is the one I wanted to put on. Gobenga says that the teams are playing, so we plan to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands fast and nullify the pass rush.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. That's what everybody does. But they're giving up too many points. So, you could blame one position, the other position. Everybody's got to just play better, and I think they will play better when the matchups are better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great defense. It's not going to be great against every single matchup that they play in what they hope will be a 14, 15, 16 game season. It's just not. They don't have that kind of personnel. So
Florida State does not seem to have the offensive firepower or the personnel or the guy making the calls on the plays to be able to make us look sick. I don't see that.
This is a good matchup this week. I'm expecting the Canes to win by a lot. All right, we want to thank everybody who participated in tonight's show for coming on. Thank Matt Shodell, of course, Bruce. Little program note: tomorrow night, 8:00, same time, we will have the Lamar Thomas show. That's always a lot of fun. So hope everybody can join us tomorrow night at 8 for that. Otherwise, we'll see all you guys at Hard Rock on Saturday. Remember to go to Canes Wear first, though, and get yourself some Canes gear. So with that, we'll say good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.